Okay, welcome back, and we are in for our last interview of FinTech Live New York. We're joined by Laura Bennett, President of the North American Digital Consumer Division at Chubb. Hi, Laura, you have the pleasure of closing the event for us this afternoon. So I hope you prepared an encore for us, but time for our fireside chat. How are you? Are you well?
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Neil, for having me here.
Excellent. You are very welcome indeed. Thank you for your time. Well, we'll start with this is blatantly an underarm question. Can you give us a bit more detail about your role at Chubb? How do you fit into things?
Yes, so I head up the digital consumer division in North America, which includes Blink by Chubb. That's actually why I was brought on to Chubb in the first place, having an entrepreneurial background and as well as, insurance depth as well, to bring a brand that's directly related to millennials and Gen Z with products and services that for a modern living. And so that's the start of it. But we're also looking at we've got our high net worth group, we have our accident and health group, and we also have our combined insurance group, which is accident and health and life for the work site. And so all of that pulled together sort of in one offering for North American partners and global partners who are looking to access the North American, marketplace for insurance.
Laura, your connection is just lagging a little bit, but we will persevere because we can still hear you. Digitally embedded products and services, they're really penetrating the banking and fintech industries. You do see them everywhere now. For you, how is that trend really starting to influence and affect the insurance space?
Yes, it is really becoming in the forefront of how many of the insurtechs and incumbent carriers are looking to access the market. It's bringing products into alongside a purchase path typically, and being in exactly the right time and the right place in a very streamlined manner, so that you don't have to exit the environment. You just it pops up naturally. So, for example, but buying a travel ticket, or even purchasing gaming goods in your sort of on your Xbox or PlayStation, and having at that moment be able to insure that purchase with very relevant one-click purchase. And so that's sort of where the market is going. And I see that as being a good step forward for being something that's actually precisely what someone needs at that time.
We've spoken so much, as you all know, wherever you're watching today, so much about the client or the customer journey today. But for you, with so many insurtechs, you are now really focused on using those embedded products. How exactly is Chubb's approach the same, or how is it different to the rest of the marketplace?
Yes, absolutely. We actually welcome all our competitors to come in and start to bring this environment to life, because this is growing the insurance marketplace, not just replacing. So we're excited to be part of that. Many things that we do similarly. There's kind of common themes, as we've already talked: right place at the right time. Things about what we like to differentiate ourselves to be in a Chubb is a global company, 54 countries, and very tech oriented. We're very sort of startup focused in this digital way. And it's required. You have to be nimble, agile, and innovative to move ahead of the curve. And so we're bringing this, but with also the strength of Chubb, the financial balance sheet, the breadth of the products, but also it's not just really about just sort of the technology as well, which of course we bring. We have Chubb Studio, which is our integration platform for APIs across the world for all the products that we have digitally. But it's also that we co-create products together with our partners, and we can dig into that a little more. But it's a great experience for all of us to bring together exactly what is needed at that time.
Before we move on to some other questions about partnerships and so forth, I just want to stay with the embedded insurance question. For you, what are the main learns you've had with this? Because it is something that is growing, it's becoming more prevalent wherever you shop or purchase things. What are the main learns you've seen over the last few years with it?
Yeah, it's a great question because we have over 200 partners across the world in various forms, not all embedded in what you might expect. Some are actually using microsites and so on. But what we've learned is that a number of things. So first of all, the success of a partnership really is that it's a partnership and it's not just a transaction, and that you're both in it together, that you're both as committed to it. It's not just about technology, it's about the experience, not just of the customer, which is where you start, but also with the partner. And because some partners are going to come having done this several times before, and they're just looking for a different experience, perhaps more products, different partner. Others come with trepidation, going, we'd like to do this, but we're a little, we're unsure. We don't want you to mess with our purchase path and our customer relation. And so what we've learned is that it's working together and creating something that's perfect. There's a lot on the technology side as well. We have a range of options that you can take. One of APIs, of course, absolutely standard these days, but they do take a tech team on the other side that's prepared to embed, and it can take time and experience and so on to doing that. We are absolutely happy to work on that as well. But the software development kits, or SDKs as they're known, much easier, small nuggets of code that get put on a page, and then the Chubb team, developer team, will take that and control the experience and the setup, and make it a much more seamless experience for the partner as well. So it depends on who we're working with, but what we've learned is just that commitment to working it through and learning as we go, and being able to track and monitor the success of the transactions, and showing that it's adding a very positive experience for the customer, and it's value add on the customer side.
Because what expression you used there, I'll just loop back to about you said not messing with the customer or the purchase experience, because when that embedded contact is coming in, it's at the most crucial point. It's just when someone's about to click buy. Yes, please, I would like that product. For you, how important is it that the integration is clean and seamless and not intrusive? Is that where it's so important to get it right in terms of that partnership?
Exactly. So, some of the sort of learnings there is that it's one click, literally one click. So the sort of fabulous things about FinTechs is that they often have the payment experience nailed down, and so there's no need to be entering any additional information for the payment. It comes as part of that experience. But also that the product is literally precisely set for that person at that point in time. So, for example, if you are buying that flight, and all the information is behind the scenes being passed through, that the actual precise price for that piece of insurance for that moment is right there and then, very relevant. There's no time lag, right? So your tech has to be fully up to snuff, and that you have to be literally presenting the price, and the price has to be a smallish percentage of what you're buying. So it literally becomes a bit of a no-brainer, saying, you know what, I know I need insurance. Maybe you have small kids. I always bought insurance for my flights when I had small kids. It's like a no-brainer. Yes, boom, add it on, and there it goes. It happens. So it makes it very, very simple and streamlined. And that's why it's so important to work with the partner to make sure that all the pieces are there and that the product is exactly what is required at that point. And we're happy to develop products with our customers, co-create together in that experience.
For you, is this the key transformation there's been in the way that insurance and insurance partnerships are now evolving? Is this the game changer for you?
For me, yes, absolutely, and for Chubb, for sure. We have development teams around the world who tailor specific, what we say is a sort of the starter pack of where we think and where we might see it in the experience for the embedded insurance that goes alongside. And we have a lot of experience in this. We have partnerships with some of the biggest companies in the world. We partner with SoFi in the US. We partner with Grab, Newbank. We have a lot of experience with these things, and so we go out with sort of where we think, but then we sit together and we tend to co-create we have some great environments for us to have an innovative experience in Chubb across the world, but come together with all of the people that include underwriting, claims, customer experience, actuarial, but also of course the technical elements of it, and just really lay it all out so that there's no sort of limit to where we can go with a particular experience. And I think given Chubb's depth in that is definitely something for us that it's delightful to go through and to see where you come out with. The experience really is quite good for all round. And of course, for the customer, in the end result, it's bar none.
But looking a bit more to the future, for you, how does embedded insurance play a role in building almost a global financial super app, if you like, if that's not too grand an expression? And what benefits would you see that bringing to consumers?
Right, absolutely. So the super apps, I mean, I think for one, customers don't, how would I say this? Customers don't really care about the differences between insurance and financial services and the regulatory environments around those. They just are out purchasing their financial services in general, and then they're living their lives in general. And so that's what super apps do. They bring it all together. A bunch of microservices that are there. I mean, some of the super apps, of course, have started from, like Grab have started sort of more from the rideshare element, but then expanded and including a lot of payment processing and so on, which is a natural way to get into the sort of the range of experiences that someone can get in a super app, and so the super apps actually allow insurance to be placed in many different places, whether it's right in you're picking your ride and you have insurance embedded into that experience if you're late or not, and you can just pick it, slide it on and off. If you are getting a loan from that super app, you can also be there's bill pay protection, things like that, or maybe even accident insurance or hospital cash, all could be naturally embedded. And it just gives you the opportunity to have a lot of options in all the sort of services that a super app is doing. And so that's why I think the super apps, they try to be relevant and not give any reason to go anywhere else. And so adding insurance into the purchase paths and as a sort of standalone element is a natural evolution of these super apps.
Now, Laura, if I could just dig into your relationship with your partners on this. You say you've got so many all over the world. One thing I always like to find out is, I'm sure they expected certain benefits when they go into that partnership. They expect certain benefits for their customers. What I often like to know are, what are the unexpected benefits they've received from using this kind of technology in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you go into something like this, I think our partners typically are just thinking about revenue and being discreet in the purchase path, right? And that's the expectation. And what they found is that it actually is not only the revenue element of it, but it is also the new customers, suddenly getting unexpected new customers because they heard word of mouth about an insurance experience that was a little unexpected but delightful, as well as retention. And as we all know, is the more products you have, the more experiences you have with a brand, the more loyalty that you have with that over time. And so those two elements were surprisingly sort of showed up in a more surprising way. I mean, it's not that they weren't expected, but not in the way that they often happen. And I think that's a wonderful way that brands can really engage with their customers and give them a lot more. It does translate into more revenue overall as well.
Returning again to the customer experience if we can, and I make no apologies for doing it because frankly it's why we do what we do, isn't it? But from your experience, how do customers perceive buying insurance from a FinTech or from a digital bank?
We work with FinTechs around the world, and it's, as I said, it's sort of delightful to see how it plays out. It is actually, it's been very well received. Again, in the right place at the right time. We're not trying to shove something in when you're logging into your bank and suddenly it's like buy something completely irrelevant to that experience. It is when you're doing something, or when you're considering, purchasing a car, a loan, other elements that are engaging there. And so and of course I've lost my train of thought as the question that you were asking me. Could you, Neil, give me a hint
Yeah, that
here?
was, in your experience, how do customers perceive buying that insurance from a FinTech or digital bank?
That's right. So customers really are experiencing this really well. And because it really is it's unintrusive. It's exactly what you need at that moment. It comes at the right time, and it's just there's one click. It's like, yes, this makes sense at this point, and I would like this. So we're seeing it across the world in our experiences with FinTechs and other embedded experiences that customers are. It's really they're picking up on it. I mean, so much so that we have over millions of customers in these experiences, and it's going well.
Because I'm going to be nosy, if you'll forgive me. I want to sort of lift the hood a little bit if we can. And how much work goes into making sure that experience is good for the customer when it comes to that point of contact with the embedded insurance?
That's a great question, because you might think from this talk, it is all about all these SDKs and APIs, and there's definitely a lot of work that goes into that, but it's all predicated on the customer experience. So there is a lot of testing, and each partner is different, but they will take the lead in the testing experience, doing workshops, in-person conversations, wireframes. The whole lot, and then over time you start to really get an idea of that. And of course, before that, a lot of it is going to be what are the products that you are interested in, and what is relevant, what gets you excited, what makes sense right there and then. And so there is a lot of work done in research on the product, and then research on the actual experience. Where should it go in the purchase experience? It's not always right when you're purchasing, right? When you press buy, it might not be exactly there. It may be in different locations, and it depends on how specifically the partner and the process. And so we look at all of that together, and then of course once it launches, it endlessly gets tested. So you could say it's a lot of work and it lasts forever, but it's a very positive thing, because you can really make this the experience that seems like nothing and is natural. There's nothing special about it. It's just a thing that happens at that moment.
Making it feel natural. I do like that approach in there. One last question, if I can, Laura. You've been incredibly generous with your time, but I do want to look to the future. For you, what are the emerging technologies that are going to be playing in this particular space going forward? What is there that excites you? What's the potential going forward?
Where to start with this? Of course, the big topic these days is AI, so one of the technologies that we've actually implemented, and for all of our for many of our products is AI, and what we're doing with it is looking at working out in cases where there is choice on product levels, for example, or actual products, actually using AI and the experiences behind it and the learnings to actually help go more quickly to appropriate product, appropriate level and coverage. And so that has been, artificial intelligence has been something that we've been engaging with for the last 5 years or so. And so some of it's coming out. Is out. It's that product is called Athena, and we use it in travel and other products, and it's going very well. So that's really where I would say at the moment we're really excited with that, and rolling that out into more products than we have today is where we're going with that, because it really, again, if you can enhance the customer experience, then that's worth doing.
And that is a wonderful way to close the show. Laura, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks for joining us here at FinTech Live, New York.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much as well to you for all of your time today through the event. Thank you to all of our guests, to all of our speakers, to all of your questions and thoughts that have been coming into us through the afternoon too. And don't forget, you can join us at FinTech Live London 2023. That's at the QET Centre on the 8th and 9th of November. I will be there. It'll be lovely to see you there as well. Thank you for your company and have a very good afternoon.